Hello from a galaxy far, far away. I'm going to do a series of short videos on tariffs and trade wars, which are quite complex. Today, the two topics will be one, tariffs and so-called reciprocal tariffs, and number two, why trade deficits are actually good for the US in many ways. So one, let's take a look at reciprocal tariffs. For example, Trump claims that South Korea has 50% tariffs, so he is so nice that he will impose 25% reciprocal tariffs on South Korea. But the fact is, South Korea has 0% tariffs on 95% of American goods. But the way that Trump calculates his tariffs, it's not even a tariff, it's a random ratio. He takes the trade surplus that a country has with the US and divides that by the exports from that country to the US. So South Korea, for example, exports $120 billion of goods to the US, and South Korea has a $60 billion trade surplus with the US. So Trump says that means there's a 50% tariff, that is 60 billion by 120 billion. But that's just nonsensical. It has nothing to do with tariffs. It's just that South Korea is a manufacturing powerhouse and the US has deindustrialized itself over the last 40 to 50 years. That's not South Korea's problem. Similarly, if you take a look at Europe, they make 15 million cars a year. These are the sedans. The US makes only 1/10 of that, about 1.4 million cars, not including the huge pickup trucks and the SUVs. So Europe doesn't have any conspiracy theory to rip off America. It's just that they have more manufacturing. Now on to the second topic about how trade deficit actually benefits the US. In that, if you, for example, take a look at US treasuries or the bonds, the government bonds for debt, foreign countries have bought more than $8 trillion of US treasuries. Okay, so that's what they actually own right now. They have bought actually for more. So foreign countries own about $8 trillion of US treasuries. What does that do? It helps the US print more dollars and borrow at a very low percentage. Because if those foreign countries were not buying the US bonds, the yields on the US treasuries would be a lot more, maybe 10%. And that means the mortgage rates will be like 12, 13, 14%, right? So the credit card rates will be higher and so on. So because the foreign countries buy the US treasuries, it helps every American by lowering the interest rates. And also the foreign countries use the trade surplus they have with the US to buy US stocks. And that makes the US stock market go up, and a lot of Americans who have money in their 401k, they benefit. And then the foreign countries also use the trade surplus to buy American weapons, to buy corporate bonds, and so on. So there's a huge recycling of the US dollar from other countries into the US. Now, if those countries were just hoarding up the US dollars and they were becoming very, very rich, then Trump would have some rationality or justification in complaining. But now this is actually a very sweet deal, because the Americans get to print money and get to buy all sorts of goods that takes a lot of efforts and human labor and investment. And then, best of all, Americans get the dollar back. And all that the foreign countries they get in return is just like an IOU saying, basically America saying that, hey, I will pay you back in the future. So hope that helps. But there are more complexities and nuances to it, and I'll go into this in the next video. Bye for now.